Good afternoon. As you probably guessed, I'm Paul, and this is Maria. Thank you very much for staying around. And I'm afraid at this stage, the voting is taken away because we're not going to give you a choice as to whether you want more bar charts from me. And I don't think we've really had enough bar charts today, so here goes. I'm going to do the first half with a bit of context on some numbers, and Maria's going to do all the cool stuff about actually what people do when they've got this hardware in their homes. And first of all, it's really quite a remarkable story that if you look at the share of 4K TVs, that Western Europe actually leads in terms of TVs that are shipped and indeed all the way through last year. And I don't think that a couple of years ago we would have imagined that, really because in Western Europe we buy TVs that tend to be a little bit smaller than, for example, China and the United States. But what is really different is that consumers in Europe are prepared to spend extra for featuring in the way that consumers in other regions are either constrained by their spendable incomes in emerging markets or are just a bit more sensitive to buying a bigger screen with less features. And it's always been joked in the past that if you wanted to sell a TV in the United States, then you needed two features. Number one, big, and number two, cheap. But Western Europe's rather different. And in particular, it's about that 40 to 43-inch size, which is a bit of a puzzle for 4K because 43-inch 4K makes a fabulous desktop monitor. But if you're going to watch it at home for anything else, you risk nose marks on the screen. But what's also happened is that screen sizes in Western Europe are growing extremely rapidly. So what we see shipping now in Western Europe is, believe it or not, the same as at other times in the year in the United States. And I don't think anybody imagined that 5 years ago, that consumers in Europe are really happy to move more and more furniture to get a bigger and bigger TV in. It can't go on forever. Now at Christmas time we saw 75-inch reach the £1,300 mark, which is my sort of benchmark gateway, is when the market really takes off, normally for demand. That's the most that majority of consumers would spend. And that's what they paid for a 32-inch when that took off in 2005 or so. But this is driven by the LCD panel industry. There has been massive investment in China. There is chronic overcapacity coming in fabs that are optimized to make 65-inch and 75-inch. And this investment by Chinese companies with subsidies and backing from the Chinese state to make huge television is really coming to us. And the real question will be exactly how much more furniture will people move, and will they tolerate a TV in their house that's the size of a door? But money is not going to be a problem. It is going to be very, very cheap. We expect massive price compression coming. So where does this leave us? And this is a very quick look at the UK household forecast. The UK is the most early adopting country in Western Europe in terms of new technology. And what we see is that more than 60% of households will have a UHD TV by 2023. Which is really quite remarkable, and already we're over that 20% mark. So it's happening very, very fast. We are far ahead of Japan, far, far ahead, where they're still buying little TVs. Consumers in Japan buy smaller TVs than consumers in Indonesia. So it's not about money. And while China has a very, very aggressive move to 4K and large sizes, it's a huge market with vast numbers of households. And it takes a long time for that to percolate through. The one thing that we remain extremely cautious about is 8K, and that we only expect 500,000 8K TV shipments in 2023, 7,000 sets shipped last year, and really that's because it's a value proposition that isn't backed up by content. You do need a massive screen, and even the Chinese LCD industry isn't well set up to make 85-inch and larger. So now over to Maria to talk about what people do when they've got that box into the house.
Thank you, Paul. So yes, I'm Maria. So technology is ready. There are lots of TVs. They're very big. They're fantastic. But what does this mean for consumers? So for consumers, it's not enough to have just a 4K TV. As BT said here in his advert, how to watch in 4K, you need a 4K TV, you need a 4K box, and a 4K TV package. So if we think about consumers, it's not just about the TVs. Do they care about the TV? Of course. So we did a consumer survey at IHS Markit, and we found out that 27% of people in the UK, when they go to buy a TV, they ask for a 4K TV. So 4K matters. They are aware of what 4K is, or at least they ask for a 4K set. In particularly men, of that 27% of people that said 4K is important, 70% are men, 30%, around 30% female. We also ask pay TV subscribers in the UK and in the US. So you have a 4K TV, you are a pay TV subscriber. Do you have content in Ultra HD? And this is very shocking because only 14% of pay TV subscribers in the UK, only 14% in the US have access to Ultra HD content. So yes, lots of TVs. What about the content? Once they have access to that content, yes, they like to watch it. In the UK, around 25%, they watch it at least daily. In the US, it's more, almost half. And in both countries, sport is a critical genre for Ultra HD. So people do love to watch sports in good quality, in 4K. So content. We know now that consumers, yes, they like the TVs. TVs are available. What can they watch? So this is our latest figure, 142. 142 are unique channels. So if you saw higher numbers, maybe it's because they're counting satellite feeds or they're double counting some channels across Europe. This is unique number of channels, 142. Yes, it's growing, but it's not really that high number yet. And there are very surprising things, like Paul before said, in China people love 4K TVs. Everyone, not everyone, but lots of people have a 4K TV set. They don't have content, very few channels. So what are these people doing? Do they even know they don't have content? Or they're just happy by the fact they have a 4K TV set? But I think this picture says it all about behavior of people. Western Europe is leading in the number of channels. Eastern Europe is catching up quite quickly. And North America and Japan are doing quite well. The slide of 8K is a very easy one. It didn't take me a lot of effort to put it there. 1 NHK in Japan, so that was an easy one. How many TV sets? I think, Paul, you said in the UK 2018, 7,000, something like that?
7,000 across Western Europe, yeah.
Across Western Europe, so not many TVs and almost no content. So everyone's excited about 8K. 8K is the big next thing. Is it? Operators offering Ultra HD. We mentioned this before via the consumer survey. This is us speaking to operators, talking to operators across all those countries. And we ask them the question, do you offer 24/7 Ultra HD channels? And even in the UK, one of the most advanced countries in the world, only 2 operators offer Ultra HD channels. Why? Because it's expensive. They told us that they don't know how they can monetize the spending money in Ultra HD because consumers are not willing to pay extra. Why is that? What is failing here? Why the business model doesn't work? Which fault is this? But again, not many pay TV operators willing to offer Ultra HD channels. That means that the share of people who can access the number of TV homes, the share of those who have a TV set but can access Ultra HD content is quite low. Netflix and Amazon, once again, they're winning this race of titles. They have more titles than anyone else in Ultra HD. So we did a survey, not a survey, we're tracking titles for all streaming platforms, and we track how many of those titles are Ultra HD or not. The number is growing. We did it last year in February, and we did it again February 2019. And especially Amazon, massive growth, 346%, massive growth as well with Netflix. BT is mainly sports titles, and Sky has offered some titles as well. But most consumers, they experience Ultra HD thanks to Netflix and thanks to Amazon. All genres look beautiful in Ultra HD, so it's not only sports. As we can see here, in terms of genres that look beautiful in Ultra HD, is every single genre. So the problem is not the genre, it's maybe the cost or having the perfect business model to monetize Ultra HD. So it is true, we all agree entertainment never looked so good. It looks fantastic, but again, I think we need more content. We need pay TV operators and companies in general to find the perfect business model, and everyone should collaborate how to make 4K successful, because I think many consumers think they're experiencing a fantastic quality in their TVs when they don't. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, we'll be around.